Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Market Check brought to you by BB. A reminder, as always, guys, there is no second best daily YouTube live stream to talk about these markets. And what a day to talk about markets, right? Bitcoin is up 4 to 5% on the day. Obviously, lots of altcoins are sending. Equities as well, sending small caps, sending. A lot of that is attributed obviously to last week, of course, as well. We had some very big news over the weekend that did make it likely for risk asset, or more likely for risk assets to appreciate in the short term. I'm sure we'll talk about that in more detail later or not. But either way, guys, like risk assets are sending today, reflexively, kind of in the aftermath of what happened on Saturday with Donald Trump. But like I said, we're gonna dive into everything involving markets today and then some. Want to get some requests, and of course, we've got a guest as well. I'm Snorlax. You guys also know me as Tommy. I'm joined by Max, Tucker, Dr. Will's Outlook, and our guest today is Lars. We've got his Twitter linked in the description of this YouTube video, so make sure to check him out as well. But yeah, we're going to cook for you guys today. Before we do that, before we can start cooking and sharing all of the alpha that we have been kind of simmering in over the weekend, I'm going to ask you to smash that like button for us. If we are not running, I mean, the full crew's back today. I mean, not quite, right? Like we got Tucker and Max back. We're missing Jackus, but we got Tucker and Max back today. We have almost the full crew back. It's great to see you guys back on the stream. I better see you all smash the like button in their honor. But either way, we're going to have a great show. We always appreciate when you guys can hit that like button, right? But Bitcoin, of course, like I said, I mean, it's sending. We're about to retest the highs from about 2 weeks ago, right? At 64K when we added a ton of open interest that's speculated to be Justin Sun. So I do think it's not just an important level from a structural standpoint, but also contextually as well. You put that back on side. There's not really, in my opinion, much reason to be bearish on this market, right? You reclaim the value area low. We haven't quite done that just yet, but we are working on that during this New York session as we speak. But Bitcoin has put in a move that you would like to see create a low, right? We'll see how we follow through here into the end of the week, but it appears to be a very constructive move on Bitcoin. And altcoins are following suit, right? I'm looking across the board. Something like Popcat's up 24%, Mog's up 10%. I mean, pretty much every altcoin on my watch list is up about 5 to 10% today. So we do have quite a favorable outcome, at least to start the week, for risk assets. We're going to continue to monitor that as we go on. But of course, that's exciting. And, that's something that we've been talking about as a possibility for a few months now. So will it finally be playing out? I guess we'll see. But we are finally seeing that weakness in the dollar. Obviously, there's been quite a good bit of weakness in yields this morning as well. Given that the implications of Donald Trump being more likely to be elected does signal that rate cuts could come down, which has, as I said, reflexively benefited risk assets to start this week. But I don't want to yap for too long, guys, right? I mean, markets are sending. I want to make sure we can talk about everything that we can possibly cover today. So I'm going to open the floor to you guys. How are we digesting this pump? How are we digesting pretty much everything that's happened over the last few days? Because let's be honest, it's been pretty crazy.
Well. First of all, the boys are back. The boys are back. The boys are back. Mm-hmm. I think we need to put a travel ban on any of the BB boys ever going to Europe again. I don't 100%. think never. Great area, can never go back. It's unfortunate. We'll have to watch YouTube videos if we want to do some historical exploration of Europe, but there's a travel ban. Tucker, you're never allowed to go back.
No, that's fine.
Never allowed to go back. Yeah, I mean the truth of the matter is, like, we went to Europe and the market high time frame corrected, and we get back to the US and we start pumping. I mean, what could be fun too is, like, at the very end of the cycles, we all take a Europe trip and then just short the market. It's like a guarantee then at that point.
Yeah, we're doing that. And we'll let everybody know. We'll tell you. All right. Yeah, you'll know.
But yeah, I'm really excited. Like, there's a lot that I want to get into today, but I'm going to reiterate one thing that Tommy said, not about markets. We have a special guest with us today. He's a friend of mine from Twitter. His name is Lars. if you're watching on YouTube, all right, his Twitter is linked down below. All right, we're gonna get him over 1,000 today. He's almost at 1,000 followers. We're gonna get him over 1,000 while we are on the show. I'm gonna hammer it a couple times, then we're gonna tweet about it. We're gonna make sure we get him over 1,000. He's an absolute monster on the charts. He's a technician. I got a lot of respect for the work that he does, and he is absolutely worth a follow. It's very hard to get your charts in front of the right people when you're beginning. He's going to be big. He's going to be big. He's a good follow. So I want to do this, though, because he's got some great charts, and we have about an hour and a half, guys, and we are going to absolutely cook for you guys today. Lars, I'm gonna put your chart up on the screen. All right. I'd love if you could maybe just give like a real brief introduction on who you are, whatever you want to share, about yourself personally, your trading, you as a person, and then let's just maybe do like a little 3 to 5 minute, hey, I'm Lars, here's where I think the market's at right now kind of thing. And then we'll get into it and we'll have like a discussion, talk about the market. So your charts are up, man. We are officially live. Let's roll.
Perfect. Mike is all good?
Mike is good. You sound great.
Okay, so I'm Lars in my 20s, and I'm a day trader. So not just a crypto investor. I day trade Forex, traditional markets, but also crypto. And I happen to know a thing or two about crypto cycles as well. Okay, but my main thing is that I'm a day trader. I scalp the markets on a daily basis. So just to get straight into the Bitcoin chart, since there's a lot to talk about, just to give everyone in the chat kind of a brief overview of how I trade. I mostly use smart money concepts. So me viewing the market, looking back at the previous crypto cycle, whenever we went into that price discovery last cycle, we kind of formed a range. Okay, looking back, we formed a range. We had our range high, had our range low, deviate that range high, which is that double top formation, and then we had that SFP at the low. Okay, and then looking back, it was actually a very clean PO3 schematic that we had. So all that price discovery that we were in during 2021, just a simple range, and then during the deeps of the bear market, we broke down from that range, creating a manipulation phase right here. And then if we extend this range to our right, we can clearly see, let me grab it. We can see if we extend it to our right, we had the expansion to follow, right? So basically all we had, looking at the previous price discovery phase, we had a range, we had that manipulation, and then we had the expansion away. And that's why I also told people on my socials that, we trended up very aggressively in the expansion phase for 210 days. Like, you expect some sort of consolidation, some retrace, some kind of chop of price action before gearing up for that next leg, right? And whenever this happened, we saw a lot of people talk about that triple top formation, right? A lot of people were talking about that triple top, where you have your 1, and then you have your 2, and then you have your 3. And these markets, in my opinion, they're run by market makers. So looking at this triple top that people were calling, it doesn't make sense from a market maker perspective. Okay, if a market maker wants to short the markets, they have to fill massive short positions. So this double deviation was the ideal setup to fill millions and $billion of shorts, because whenever you have a range high, or a range where the range high is the all-time high, and you break that range high, of course, people are going to be calling for a 300K Bitcoin. And that's the ideal trap, the ideal manipulation phase to fill other short positions and push price down. But, a PO3 schematic is the clear indication of an accumulation, right? If you have a PO3 looking like this, it shows that there's a lot of market maker involvement in this manipulation phase, because they push price up almost a 3x, or not even like a 5x. So people comparing this top to these two tops doesn't make sense. The market makers already did their thing. They push price down around 78%, I think. Yeah, like 78%. You really think they're going to let price come back up, deviate that high once more, actually their positions would be in a loss at that point, just to push price down again all the way back to like 15K. It doesn't make sense. So that's already, that triple top formation debunked. Now, people were calling, okay, maybe it's not the triple top, but let's say it's still a top. We had an early cycle. I've seen everything on my For You page of it's an early cycle because XYZ. Just looking at how these market makers actually dump price and form significant tops, they need to have a distribution, right? So as you can see right here, we had our initial range high, initial range low, deviated the range high once, deviated twice, and then they dumped price down. And then here as well, you had that initial range high right here, deviated, broke down significantly. And then even in the move down, after every expansion towards the downside, you can expect some sort of a range. And then look what happened. We had an aggressive move down, formed again yet another range high, deviation. Okay. Again, move down right here, initial range high, deviation. Even here, initial range high, boom, range high, deviation. And even on the last move down, it happens on any time frame. You had the slow grind up, you formed your range, and again, range high, deviation 1, deviation 2, exactly the same as on that first top, and they push price down. So this is just for people that don't understand. This is just a simple Wyckoff schematic. It's distribution. It's a way for market makers to fill short positions. Okay, a way for market makers to fill short positions. They cannot just fill hundreds of millions and $1 billion of shorts. They need also buyers to fill their short positions. So they create these ranges and they have these fake range breakout, which is just a manipulation phase to fill their shorts. So people calling for a top right here. Well, if we compare this pattern, if you want to call it, towards the range that we've been currently in, okay, we have our range high and we have our range low. What have we been seeing? Deviation 1. Let's extend it. Or initial range low, deviation 1, deviation 2, extended, deviation 3, right? We've just been deviating the low. And bottoms are formed in the exact same way as tops, just the other way around. Instead of deviating the high and having breakout longs to fill their short positions, what we've been seeing here is just breakout shorts to fill their long positions. It's literally the other way around. And I saw also better people that trade pretty good on Twitter talk about this range has been broken, but it hasn't. It hasn't. I have this tool which I use, which is called a deviation threshold, right? I use it for my range deviations, and this is kind of a fib, like the 25% from this range at the top and the bottom. And if price doesn't close below this line, we don't have a range breakout. Okay, so as we see, we have our range high, we have our range low. This right here, just a simple deviation. Okay, and after every deviation, we extended. So right here, you had your deviation 1 that's extended towards that low. This breakout wasn't a breakout, just a simple deviation that's extended again. And then right here, again, this is just a simple deviation. Unless you start breaking high time frame candles below that 52K area, you can call this range broken. And it works extremely well. Just to look back very quickly on how it has performed. If we look at this local range that we were in, what can we see? Right here, we had a range high, had a range low, and then was this a range breakout? No, just simple deviation. It tapped it perfectly. And then we extended towards the upside. Was this a range breakout? No, it didn't close any candles above. It's a deviation. And then we had that move down to follow. Extended again towards the high. Was the deviation or the breakout at the low an actual breakout? No, it was a deviation. It's in this deviation threshold. And that works on every time frame. If you apply it to these ranges as well, all these breakouts weren't breakouts. They fell in that deviation threshold zone. So looking at this from a accumulation perspective, which is the opposite of the distribution, of course, if I go on a higher time frame, right, we have the range high, we have the range low, right here, range high, range low. Following market structure, this is the first proper deviation. This is the second proper deviation. indicating a Wyckoff Model 1 accumulation. And whenever that's confirmed is when you break structure from the top down, right? So following high time frame structure from the top down, we have lower highs and lower lows right here. So this is the high to break. I've been calling this 63,800 is the high to break. And how price is behaving right now is that we don't have that much resistance coming into that high. We only have this like order block right here, but it's already mitigated and we're pushing through it, right? But the moment we break this 63,800, it's just a simple range rotation towards the all-time high. So that's how I'm viewing it right now. You know, we cannot get too bullish until we start breaking that 63,800. That's really the line in the sand for the bears. And yeah, just been deviating the low, and we haven't broken the low. So close above that, and we can see an all-time high very soon.
Cool. Lars, that was fantastic, bro. Let me say this, guys. What a kickoff from Lars. Thank you for providing all of those examples and all of the context necessary to explain not just what has happened, of course, in the past, but why this is actually still bullish despite sentiment being so negative for Bitcoin, specifically at the lows. So what I found really interesting is like the examples you gave earlier on, how time and time again, you will see these predatory deviations or manipulation phases to the top side and to the downside. And that will typically mark your high time frame tops, or I guess also high time frame bottoms. And like a very higher time frame example of a bottom forming is like the FTX deviation for Bitcoin. When FTX collapsed, that final deviation was deep value zone, right? That's a really high time frame, perfect example. And
watch me apply the same concept towards the FTX collab. Look at that.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. Yep. And real quick, you may have said it. What are the green line and the red line? What fib settings do you have on that? I'm just curious. So it's 0.25. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. Very nice. So what's materially different about this top? Because I see a lot of people trying to draw parallels and suggest that Bitcoin right now is doing some sort of high time frame distribution similar to like, you know, June of 20 what was the date on it? Actually, it would be there's a lot of people trying to say this was like May, June of 2021. And why I love your example, and you posted some analysis on this, is that we never had our predatory deviation to the top side, which would be very atypical of Bitcoin and crypto to do, is to just sell off in sort of a landslide fashion without actually setting that trap to the top side, which in my opinion, I haven't seen it fail to do in recent years.
And Max, you also gave the example on your Twitter about comparing this range that we're currently in to that range in, you know, December, Jan 2021. And if we just apply the same range concepts that we use for the tops, if we look at this range, this is your range high, this is your initial range low, right? And you don't have a deviation of the high. You have your range low right here, range high right here. And guess what? Deviation 1. And then this was just a higher low, indicating a model 2 for the Wyckoff experts. So it's really, you know, it shows that whenever you're deviating the low without deviating the high, it's an accumulation in some sort, right? And you can compare this to that, and it's the exact same way they push price higher.
The only thing I got to say, as long as it's bullish, you can talk about it. That's all.
All right. So Lars, let's keep this moving here, because you're absolutely cooking, man. The audience is loving it. And by the way, we have a savage audience. We've had guests on the show, and it hasn't gone well, and the audience literally rips them apart. We kind of have a savage audience. We love them. But these dudes are kind of they're bullies, man. We got some bullies in the audience. They're loving you. So let's get to the most important part of this, and then we're gonna just kind of have a really thorough discussion. What comes next? When does it come next? And why does it come next? And then maybe we could talk about some altcoins after that.
What comes next? Well, what I noticed, as said earlier, right? That 63,800, it's very key. You need to break that. I cannot confirm that we're going to the range high if you don't break that level. But what's so funny on, how Bitcoin behaves when it's ready to pump, is that it likes to take a significant swing point. So let's call this a significant swing point. It likes to take that low, and then while coming up, it has that slow grind up. So it has that slow grind up where every high is a higher high, and it kind of looks like a distribution at first, and then it just ignores the distribution and it just grinds up, and then it pops off. It's very hard for me as a smart money trader to enter those positions as a higher low, because I like those deviations. But just to give you guys an example, is right here, right when we had that range back in last summer. Actually, it's like almost the exact same behavior as last summer. We had this range and we had that deviation, right? So this was your significant range low, and you had that deviation. And coming up, you left this trail of liquidity, and you were kind of deviating the high slowly, right? So you have the initial range high, and you kind of deviate it, and then you deviate it once, and it kind of has that slow grind up, and then just pops off. And even here, a lot of people were talking about, oh yeah, we're coming up, but once we grab all those sell side liquidity stop losses, then I'll go long and I'll move it up. And it has that slow grind up where each high is a higher low, and then just it pops off. And we're seeing the exact same happen now, the exact same behavior happening now, where you have that range low that already grabs a very significant swing point on the left here, and then you have that slow grind up where each low is a higher low until you just literally you pop off, because on the left here you have like one supply zone, but it's mostly just liquidity. So the way it's behaving is how it normally behaves when it's ready to pop off towards that range high. But if we do reject prior to taking that 63,800, I think we'll have some sort of range in here where this just becomes your new range, which is kind of like a very ugly looking manipulation phase. But it's mainly just this high, man. Break that high and you're ready to go, literally.
Now, when you say ready to go, and I have to, here's the thing. I understand as a trader, it's a game of probabilities, right? And I'm going to ask you these tough questions because I think that you personally are equipped to answer them, right? But it puts you in a position of vulnerability because I'm going to require that you give me specifics. So if we break out to the upside here and we get back above 63, 64K, where do you think the next high time frame level is? Do you think we go straight to all-time highs? Do you think 80K, 90K? Is 100K possible? Let's go ultra high time frame, assuming this was a 4-month reaccumulation before the next markup phase. What does the next step look like?
Okay, so looking also at summer after the halvings that we've had before, what tends to happen is that the opening and the closing prices are the exact same. I have another chart for later where that shows, but normally during the summer after the halving, you can have some upwards motion and some downwards price action, but the opening and the closing price of the start of summer and the end of summer tends to be the same. So for me, the summer months are June, July, August, right? So June started up way up here. So this is where June started, okay? This is where June started. And then we had that move down to follow. So we have this accumulation schematic. Once we break that high, I expect a pretty easy rotation back up towards at least the premium pricing of this range. And then there's not that much resistance. So I expect to take the range high. However, I do not expect to immediately break through the all-time high and see like 100K Bitcoin, right? I'm expecting that rotation up, and it will probably be aggressive. And whenever something is aggressive, it needs time to cool off. So let's say we have that pop up. I think we'll deviate the all-time high for a moment. So let's say we extend this range too, right? Let's draw it a bit better. We have the opening price of summer right there. We break this, we back test it, go higher, pretty aggressive squeeze, find some resistance, take it, and then maybe we'll cool off a bit, cool off. And then whenever summer is over, around September here, and the opening and the closing price are kind of the same, going into that Q4 of 2024, that's when I think we can see, actually breaking pass this important deviation threshold we've discussed earlier, and we can see like 100K, and from there we'll find the next massive range. So that's kind of what I'm thinking regarding timing as well.
Max, I think he passed the squiggle test.
He did pass.
Those are good squiggles right there. I like.
We're gonna save this as a screenshot because that probably plays out perfectly. Something like that. But here's the deal, guys. We need some likes on the stream. All right, we're cooking today. Lars,
I got so much more juice, but only if we get the likes.
You heard it, guys. We got like 4,500 people watching right now between YouTube and X. Okay. If you're watching on YouTube, take one brief moment out of your day. It costs $0 to do this, and hit that thumbs up button for us. It does wonders for the channel. It does wonders for our growth. Guys, support the channel. All you got to do is hit that like button. Okay. Again, I dream to live in a world where one day we don't need likes in order to grow, but the mega cap tech overlords, they determine that we need likes in order to grow. So do us a solid, hit that like button. Also, if you're new, subscribe to the channel. Furthermore, if you're watching on X, okay, it is so easy for you to just hit that heart button, and you could even hit that retweet button. Help spread the good word. This is an absolute cook session. The boys are back in town, and we got a special guest today, guys. We might even go extra long today. We might run like a 2.5-hour show. We'll just see how things go. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button, hit that follow button. And also, guys, if you don't follow Lars yet and you're watching on YouTube, I made it easy for you. Scroll down in the description, go click on his Twitter and follow the fuck out of it. Okay. Go down there and follow him. Okay. And if you're on X, you probably just find him. You just type him in, you find them. We'll shout him out later. Okay. But he's cooking. But anyways, I want to bring the rest of the panel in. Like, we've been letting Lars cook. I've been hitting him with some questions. I was thinking I want Lars to maybe show some altcoins and stuff, but like, honestly, we need to hear from Tucker. Like, Tucker has been gone. He got married or something like that, and apparently he wanted to go on like a honeymoon. I don't really understand it or whatever. Like, all I do is chart, but apparently Tucker has a life outside of charting, which I don't even understand. But
I've never seen a female in my life, Max. So
what was that word? Fee what? I've never even heard of that, bro.
Finance. He meant finance.
I gotta do this then. Okay. I gotta do this then. I'm so sorry.
Oh,
it had to be done.
Dude, study.
I mean, that's an initiation right there, is getting Tommy. All right. So, boys, I mean, study.
I mean, that's about as juicy of a bullish candle on the monthly time frame as you could have, bro. I mean, that is.
It doesn't get much. It doesn't get much better than that.
Imagine if somehow this July, go back to the monthly for me real quick, Tucker. Imagine if we close July monthly above the opening price of June, right there. Imagine dude. Oh, what are we talking about?
God. I mean, dude,
imagine bears.
Like, dude, tops don't look like this. Like, this is a top. That's a top. This doesn't. It's not. It's just not. It doesn't happen that way, right? It just doesn't happen.
No.
But yeah, man, there was a lot. There was a lot that I had to catch up on. Really, yesterday I had to catch up because I didn't really look at price a whole lot while I was gone, and yesterday I was just so jet lagged, but I had to catch up a little bit. But I was looking at some lines. First of all, we hit the monthly FVG. That was nice. I'm a fan of this. I'm a fan of this one. Even more so a fan of this one though. I mean, really that, which is kind of the Schmiko bottom. I mean,
Tucker. Are we going straight up?
Yeah, we're going straight up in a straight line. I like the area that everybody, Tommy, Jackus, Lars, had this marked out, this daily order block right here. You do have to flip that, and I was gonna see what you guys thought, like, because it looks similar to this, right? It looks a little bit similar to this. Like, are we gonna get this, which would be confluent with filling that CME gap, which is like in here somewhere, right? Like, are we gonna get the that, or are we just gonna go? I don't know, man. There's a lot that could happen. I think it looks bullish though. That 2 week close was just silly bullish also, right? This
Just
candle.
look at the monthly, Tucker. Just look
I know
at the
monthly too, but like where's the
got a hammer doji?
Where's the let's see. Oh, I turned off my magnet. Hang on.
Just hold command on your keyboard and it turns it on temporarily.
Are you serious?
Yeah, bro.
Dude, so many. I mean, this whole area, right? Like, let me get rid of these lines. This whole area is just proven to be
mega demand.
Mega demand, as Max would say. This is mega demand right here.
Yeah.
This little 2 week FVG has been mega demand. So, where's the middle of it? I mean, what are we talking about? What are we talking? You got like, you could even call it a falling wedge, right? Like whatever you want to call it. It looks good. It looks good. And I don't know, man. I think it's about to be alt season, guys. It's about to be alt season, and it's driven by Sol BTC. I'll tell you what. Driven by Sol BTC. Make sure no taking profits, Will.
Make sure you take profit.
No profits.
Switch it to utility, guys.
No profit. Utility coins, man. Wow.
2025. I'm telling you, bro. I'm telling you.
This is all I'm saying right here. This is all I'm saying. I mean, I tweeted it out. You guys have seen the fractal. I tweeted it out. Okay. Our risk on barometer versus Bitcoin this cycle is set up in the exact same way it was before it absolutely chatted last cycle. Right? Like the exact same way. It's actually silly how close it looks. What are we talking about? What are we talking about here, guys? I mean, so I don't know. I'm bullish. I mean, I've been buying shit coins as much as I can. As soon as I get money in, it's going directly into shit coins still. Okay. Brain is off.
That's real.
Brain is off. Yeah. I know, Tommy. I know you know what I'm talking about. I know you know what I'm talking about. As bearish as Tommy can be, he still shoves all of his money into shit coins whenever possible. I know this. So
look, all I'm saying, Hagrid, all right, at the end of 2023 in September, I was like dumpster diving is in. There was a lot of people that were like risk off. I was like risk full on. All right. Yes. And I'm telling you, the end of this cycle going into 2025, what's going to bring retail in is utility, and it's going to bid, bro. You're going to see the new Luna. You're going to see all that shit start all over again. Watch and see. I'm not saying shit coins won't catch a bid because they 100% will. I just think you have safer plays that you can play that you can make a lot of money in.
Yeah. I mean, when you say utility, I'm just going to chart while we chat. When you say utility, what are you talking about? Like, are you talking about like Ondo and stuff like that?
No. Like high risk utility. High risk utility.
High risk utility.
Right?
What is
like
that?
Shit that looks obliterated on the utility side is going to bid in a big way. And look, I've been on the high risk side of things since all this shit started pretty much. And I'm telling you, like, I get this inkling the way liquidity flows are moving. And I think about how people get into the space. They get in on the XRPs, they get in on the Stellars, and then they're like, okay, where can I make more money? Oh, okay, there's this other utility coin was just made yesterday, and they're promising all this shit, and they start buying it. I mean, Luna was basically a joke. Like, what was Luna? What was the narrative behind Luna? Oh, they had a stable coin attached to their coin. They're backing it by BTC. What the fuck does that mean? Nothing. It was a utility coin with no real use case, and they ran it up. And I think that you'll see that again. But I think it's going to be more in the casino plays. Like anything that's like a casino play, utility type play, I think that those will be the better plays on your risk to reward.
Yeah. So look, I'm still in favor of us needing to reclaim this pi cycle thing as quickly as possible. It's been the MA in bull markets that you pretty much stay above. And given we got super vertical here, right? Like we went pretty much straight up in a straight line from 30K to 70K, right? So I'll give it a little breather here, but like this is what you want to see it get back above pretty quickly, right? 65K is kind of the line in the sand on that is where it's sitting. So, you know, look back at the 2017 cycle, right? Like, you know, what are we talking about? You know, I don't know. Also, we just reclaimed the yearly VWAP, so that's always nice. That's always nice. But
I want to be clear too. Like I'm not off shitcoins. Like I'm gonna be shitcoining the whole time. I'm just saying, like, there are going to be some utility plays that are sleepers right now that have like 100x potentials, and I think people are completely ignoring them.
As Will, are you coming out as a Link Marine? Oh my god, I haven't looked at.
Nah, Link has too much liquidity, man.
Too much liquidity.
If I can't move it with putting a $20 investment in, I'm not interested.
Wow.
Let's play it.
No, you're not, Will. I know you're not just playing. It's okay. I understand. I understand how you feel. I don't know. This might kind of be a spot for Link. I mean, you come back in here, you're probably cooked, you know. So we can look at some altcoins though. We can look at some altcoins. But yeah, I mean, you kind of gotta. Wouldn't really want to see you come back into there. But no, guys, I think we look good. 63K on a Monday. How has New York been? Where's 8:30 in the morning? Right here. So this is New York session right here. Yeah. Not bad. America finally bidding again. You love to see it, man. You love to see it.
Spot's been hammering it since New York Open. I will say that.
Let's go, Tommy. Let's go.
You do.
No, I mean hammering sells. Hammering sells. They're not buying.
Tommy, like that's something I wanted to mention too. Is like you did get a little, and I think this was due to the event that happened over the weekend with Trump and stuff. But you did get a little bit of a sell off on risk. I did see that on equities today. So that's something I was looking at.
What are equities? Oh,
no.
Better get bearish, guys. Better get bearish.
On the risk side, but I think it's very, very short term. Very short term. I think it's reactionary, knee jerk. I think that will recover pretty quickly.
Guys, what are we talking about right now? Everything's going up. I'm sorry.
Large caps aren't stopping, bro. They're just going to keep chatting.
What are we talking about? Oh my goodness. Goodness gracious. What else? What's NVIDIA doing?
Up only.
Deviation, bruv, huh? Is this where we are right now on Bitcoin? Is this what you were looking at, Max? I'm pretty sure this is, yeah.
That's exactly what I was looking at.
Wow, this is old too. This is
Tucker.
Tucker, it was down to the left more, bro. It was down to the left more.
Yeah.
It was
probably that.
Here, I'll show you. I'm gonna Tommy the screen.
Yeah, do it.
Hang on.
It's all about Apple.
It's this simple, man. It's this simple. It's right here.
Final bear trap. Yes.
There you go.
I love it. Wait, what is IWM doing? Somebody. Oh my god.
Tucker. Apple. Tucker.
Oh, Max, look at this.
Yeah, study.
What are we talking about?
Apple, brother.
Oh my god.
Apple. Imagine being bearish.
30K fractal on Bitcoin out to an absolute T. It really did.
Yeah. Oh, this? Yeah.
Yeah.
My God, man.
It did.
Bears are in shambles on Apple, man. There were so many people shorting that shit. Like I was watching a timeline with people talking so much shit about Apple.
I mean, the IWM breakout should not be faded either, man. Like
Tucker, Tesla.
Wherever you want to draw it from, it looks good. Yeah. Wow, it went down to 140 again. Jeez, man. Tesla's an interesting chart. I think
it looks where you had it, like 325s. That'll be your first resist. I don't even think this is a resistance. I think 325s.
Yeah, you're probably just gonna start slicing through highs, honestly.
Yep.
Just slice. Yeah, probably up here. Oh, boys, I'll tell you what, it's good to be back. Wow, it's good to be back and just ripping through charts, man. I missed it.
You want to see a crazy one since you've been gone, Tucker?
Yes.
Look at Lucid.
What has Lucid been doing? Okay. Okay. We're pumping, boys. Fuck, boys, we're pumping.
Hey, we almost hit my strike price. It was 450. And I think we're still gonna hit it. Yeah, I had 450s for January.
Do you guys remember this Rivian move we caught? That was just
it was beautiful.
I wanted it to hold that one so badly.
I know.
It just didn't.
It yeeted all the way back.
I know.
Rivian's looking good too, though. I think that's an easy 40 and then probably 50 if this thing starts to turn around.
Do you remember looking at like
I bet you could overlay AVAX on Rivian and probably match up pretty well.
The Rivian Tesla and like the Lucid Rivian.
But look at Rivian Tesla. That shit looks bottomed.
Yeah, wait. Dude, Mike. There we go. Rivian Tesla.
Look at that. That formed a nice bottom.
So you think Tesla's gonna do well? Might as well 8 beta. It's harder in equities though, because like it's not just direct like, oh, this goes up, that'll go up, right? It's like, oh, what if the CEO of Rivian has a heart attack? Like there's more tail risk in equity beta, in my opinion, than crypto, honestly. Like you're just not guaranteed the same flows because it's a smaller market cap in the same sector. There's really more tail risk, honestly. But yeah, what about others?
Wait, is Powell speaking in 15 minutes? I feel like he's been on like a world tour of giving speeches.
Is he on a Monday?
I think so. I think he's speaking soon.
Yeah,
I don't even know
at the national. He's speaking at the National Pump Convention to send everything higher.
Bonk is playing out the weekly that we discussed, Snorlax.
Lars, what do you have in the background there, man? I see you working on something.
What are you cooking up, bro? There it is.
Yeah.
What are you cooking up?
So to wrap up Bitcoin, right? Because I think we're all bullish on Bitcoin. If we break that 63.8K level, I was also looking at Bitcoin and the DXY. I saw you guys also make the comparison that DXYs are kind of risk off indicator, and then Bitcoin, of course, they're risk on. So they work anti-correlated. And what's so significant that every time we were approaching that previous all-time high and we're pumping towards that previous all-time high, we can see an actual distribution on the DXY. So we had that distribution here, and then we broke back inside the range right here, and that's when Bitcoin took off. And then we see the exact same here. It was a bit less good looking because of the flash crash because of COVID. But again, a 1, 2, 3, and then we come back inside that range and it takes off towards new all-time highs. And we're seeing the exact same right now. Like previously, it was a higher high. So you had 2 deviations where each high is higher than the previous one. But that doesn't have to happen. 1 deviation is enough. It can be a lower high. So, for me, a confirmed break is breaking structure from the low up, meaning this is a structure from the low up. So when you break that low, it's an easy rotation towards that range low and probably a bit lower as well. And then, yeah, you got your Bitcoin chart looking like this. So it's hard to be bearish, man. It's very hard to be bearish. So,
dude. Go ahead.
No. You go ahead.
Bro, okay. Well, I was gonna come for Tommy. Tommy, look at DXY, man. What I need to know, like, we're about to break 104. This is not support. This is going to break down. Like,
oh, I agree.
Okay, all right.
I agree. I'm definitely not a dollar bull. Come on, man. Who do you think I am?
All right. Yeah,
who do you take me for, Tucker? I'm certainly not a dollar bull, but yeah, no, I mean 64K is obviously that kind of level in the sand. for price, but also from a supply side standpoint, I still think there's a lot of overhead supply above us. And I want to see the behavior in New York session change, right? Because over the last 4 months, spot has just been relentlessly hammering Bitcoin sells during New York session. It's a big reason why we've been pinned within this range, why we've traded down into range lows twice now. I need to see that behavior change, because obviously, as we saw at the end of 2023 through CME futures, and then at the beginning of 2024 through the actual spot ETFs, we saw that New York was the driving factor behind Bitcoin's price appreciation. But right now, New York continues to sell spot. So that, to me, I would like to see change in order to get just adamantly bullish on something like Bitcoin again. But I don't think that Bitcoin needs to necessarily trade all the way into all-time highs for a lot of these altcoin setups to begin to play out, right? Like if we have any period of prolonged chop, maybe a shoulder forms on Bitcoin. I don't know what it's going to look like, right? But I do know that a lot of these altcoin setups look really damn good, especially when I look at something like cat coins. I look at MakerDAO. I think Bonk looks pretty good as well. And obviously Solana on chain is still popping off. So it's not like there's any shortage of opportunities. But when I look at Bitcoin, I do, price is one thing, but I also need to see some of the like supply and demand dynamics shift a bit more in favor of the bulls to get adamantly bullish on majors again.
But the thing that I'm noticing there too, Lars, with that chart, and I think not enough people are paying attention to the chart specifically, is that when DXY bottoms, see how it comes down and kind of forms a bottom, you're actually forming your high on Bitcoin. And I think if people really paid attention to that specifically, they would understand that we are not bottoming on DXY, we are topping. And so since we're topping, we still have to create that structural move to the downside and then create a bottom formation before you can even top on the Bitcoin cycle. So just something I noticed there in the chart.
Yeah, for sure. And then my view for the alts, right? I have this chart right here. We can see Bitcoin above, and then the total 3, of course, in the middle, and then Bitcoin dominance at the bottom. And there's one thing that I want people to be aware of, and that's, how money flows into these crypto markets. So we're talking about altcoin season, and it's really like the definition you put on altcoin season. For me, when I'm talking about alt season, I'm talking about a euphoric alt season, right? You see so many X's during the day that...
Real quick, Lars, I'm not trying to be rude, but what does our like button look like? Sorry, we have to cut out the alpha at this point if we're not hitting thresholds.
Let's see here, Will. 338 on YouTube. That's not bad, guys. That's not bad. It could be better, though. It could be better.
My apologies. Go ahead and get
all right. Keep cooking, Lars. We'll get the likes up.
So, we're talking about once that Bitcoin dominance, once that rolls over and you see that starting to dump, you tend to see your total 3, which represents, the altcoins start to go crazy. But what I want people to be aware of is the sentiment around alts last time we broke the previous all-time high and we started to go into price discovery. Because in the crypto market, money flows, first you have Bitcoin that moves, it always moves first, right? And then, your high caps and your mid caps start to move, and then your most degen plays and the low caps start to go crazy. So whenever Bitcoin goes into price discovery, it moves first. So once Bitcoin goes into price discovery, we tend to get this spike in the red shaded area. You see Bitcoin breaking past the previous all-time high, going into price discovery, and you see this spike in Bitcoin dominance, right? And then once Bitcoin starts to cool off, retrace, and consolidate into price discovery, that's when like their euphoric alt season starts. And it doesn't last that long. Remember, like 3 to 4 months of actual craziness. And I want people to be aware that last time we broke the previous all-time high and Bitcoin went into price discovery, your altcoins, they lagged. Yes, of course, you see this total 3 market cap go up ever so slightly, but there were also some specific coins that were just not moving. And the sentiment around those coins were terrible. Like people were talking about alts are dead, this coin is dead, utility coins will never run, Bitcoin is stealing the show. And then I wouldn't be surprised if they capitulate in that moment and they switch to Bitcoin, or they switch all to high caps because, mid caps and low caps are moving and they're afraid they will never move again. But be aware that whenever Bitcoin breaks deeply into price discovery, it moves first. So your altcoins can go up. Some may not go up. Some go up more than the other. But don't be scared that they will just never go up again, because it just needs time. Once Bitcoin goes into price discovery, people tend to take some profit, and the profits will flow over into mid caps and then into low caps, and that's how those money flows in the crypto section go. So I want people to be aware, because last time I remember it so well, some alts just didn't move and people were calling it dead, and they were switching their backs from certain sectors to other sectors, and then the moment they sold them, the other sector started to move like crazy, and then they buy back higher, right? So be aware that once Bitcoin goes deeply into price discovery, it moves first. So you can get a tiny spike in that Bitcoin dominance before we start to actually roll over, and that euphoric alt season starts, and then your degen plays can go crazy.
So Lars, are you of the belief that we do see one more push higher on Bitcoin dominance, or is this more of just an if then scenario because of what happened last cycle? Because the two topping structures, comparing last cycle's Bitcoin dominance topping structure, it looks a lot different than this one. The trend that we're in right now for Bitcoin dominance appears to be, multiple months of slowing of momentum and potentially even just classic distribution or the end of a trend, where last cycle's Bitcoin dominance top was we were dipping aggressively, had a predatory sweep of the high. There was a wick that went above all of that. I know you have a line chart on, but if it was candles, you'd see the wick. So there are very different topping structures. So do you think that we need to take out the previous high on Bitcoin dominance, or we could just roll over here and die?
We don't need to. We could roll over. I'll be happy with both scenarios, but we do have this level, right? It's a massive supply zone. If I use the candle structure, it's right that push up before we broke structure. Right here, we pushed up and then we kind of broke structure from the top down, which is also right above there. It's coincidentally perfectly aligned. I would love to hit that, because as a smart money trader, also on the lower time frames, what I tend to notice when we have exhaustion is that, let's say you have a high, right? Because that's what we're seeing right now on Bitcoin dominance. You have a high, you come back down, and you kind of wick the high. Okay, you have that first break, it's not that big, and then you come back down, and your second break is a bit less, and then your third break is a bit less, and then your fourth break is a wick. It's not even a break yet. It comes back down, and then you tend to have a manipulation event where it's a very quick buy to sell. Oftentimes it breaks, buy to sell. It's like you keep on wicking the high, breaking the high less and less. The breaks are getting less and less. You start wicking the high, you come back down, and people think that that's the moment when you roll over. And then you have this random push that closes above, and the next candle is just a straight shot down and it closes below. It's a typical scenario once you see that exhaustion on the chart to have that last manipulation event here. And we're seeing it here. We have those breaks that are getting less and less. And, you can't even call this a break. It's not a break. It's like a range, and you're wicking the range high, right? So it could roll over, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a push up tapping into that line right here, and then to just massively dump. But overall, alts have been pretty destroyed also compared to Bitcoin. So maybe this time it's a bit different, because alts got so wrecked so hard that now they're already ready, to also perform extremely well. So both scenarios can play out, but I just want people to be aware that if your alt is not moving and Bitcoin is going crazy, don't capitulate. It will go. The mid caps, the low caps, they will all flow.
Yeah.
So, go ahead, Will. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna add. I think people got a little too bared up recently. Going into, I do think that there'll be a tax loss harvesting event, but kind of how you discussed earlier, that could happen from a lot higher in price. And I don't know how many times I've had to say this since the cycles began, is like things can happen a lot higher from pricing, which means that you can get corrections from 70K versus getting them from 50K. And everybody always wants the correction at the range lows. And when I say correction, I mean the events to occur, right? But events don't occur at range lows, they occur at range highs. And I think with that being said, like this has been the norm for this cycle, has been to everybody to FUD the range lows and everybody to get hyped at the range highs. And this is what's created these ranges that we've been kind of forming. And so, I mean, in this cycle, I think we're very close to the end of, you know, this downtrend. I really do think that 52K was very close to that downtrend bottom. And I think if we're going to go any deeper, I think the best case scenario we're going to get is 48K. And that'll fill everything. There won't be any more gaps left unless you're planning on going into a full-on bear market again. And I think that in this scenario, with us being up here where we are, even that is hard to fathom us going back down into those numbers, because once you hit 64K, I would imagine you've recaptured the range, and now the best case scenario you can hope for is a low 60s play before the next move up. I think that's the absolute best case scenario you can wish for once you've broken that 64K range. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but
wait, Will, did you just say we're going to 48K?
No, I said that would be your absolute worst scenario. Like there were people that were saying we were going to 38K. There were people saying we're going to 36K. I'm not saying we're going to 48K. And yeah, 16. Yeah, those people need to stop smoking meth. But I do have a few charts though, Max. When we can do it more towards the end, that I just want to throw up because I think these fractals are playing to a T.
So I want to ask Lars a few specifics here. So it appears as though you and I share a similar bias in that Bitcoin will go into price discovery sooner rather than later. But Bitcoin is probably not the best place to park your money from a risk reward perspective. It's actually probably altcoins. Suggesting here Bitcoin dominance should start bleeding when Bitcoin takes the next leg up. You and I share that opinion. Now, what are some of the altcoins that you are most excited about?
Which one you think?
Let's talk about it. What do you like? Ooh.
I love my Andy, you know. A good friend of mine put me on Andy, an amazing trader. You also know him, Max. His name is Franzo.
Yeah, he's a beast, man. He's a good trader.
Also a beast. And yeah, I was checking the Andy charts, and the moment I entered the right around here, you know, when we had that range formation, we had the accumulation, manipulation here at the lows. That was my entry on Andy, and then of course we had the massive run up, and what followed was a distribution. Now, initially, we had this break. We had this break right here on the weekly time frame, and let's make that black. Okay, and then we had that range break overlapping with very good looking range demand, right? So I was initially not expecting price to go lower than this point. It was allowed. I just wasn't expecting it. Okay. And we formed that range formation right here. And I posted about it, you know, and it was looking a lot like what was going on in here when we had that range formation. If we just delete this real quick. We had this range formation right here, where, you know, you have your initial range low, you deviate it once and you deviate it twice, right? And you have your initial range low, deviate it once, deviate it twice, and it comes back in ever so slightly just to get rejected and smacked down. But it had a reason to, right? It had a reason to, because in this massive manipulation event where my entry was, you see the sell to buy on the charts, pretty obvious. It's sell to buy, okay? That costs like a 7x in price. So it's massive demand, it's massive support. Also overlapping with weekly structure where you have higher lows and higher highs. This is kind of the place to bounce. And we even have a more refined demand zone in that lower section of the bigger range demand. And we had a pretty decent move down. I wouldn't say it's that aggressive because of the move down and we ranged, and then a move down and we new range again, you know. But we're already moving up pretty aggressively, you know, and it's also showing the strength of a project like Andy. The moment the market bounces for one moment, Andy is going up 60-70% immediately. Compare that to other projects with even the same market cap, you know, they're not moving that aggressive the moment the market is giving hopes again. And looking at the Andy chart and then the market structure from the top down, like there's no resistance. Like all this is just, this is a high, this is a lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. It's one sweep of liquidity. Okay. one sweep of just liquidity. So the moment you start breaking structure, which is this high right here, which is where we at right now, who knows, right? I don't think it's that hard to recover all that price action. But I don't mind ranging for a bit longer, but it's showing some sort of an accumulation, right? With a 1, a 2, and a 3 right here. And it's trying to break structure. I don't know what the volume is looking like. Some decent volume. Not very special, but okay volume. And I'm expecting this to perform.
It's gonna take every single one of those highs in one go. It's just gonna.
It's gonna be so fast.
Yeah.
So fast.
Yeah. That's what it did last time, man. When ETH pumped like 800 points, and then Andy commenced a 7x in 2 weeks. You know, so we're gonna get a break of structure to the upside on Ethereum. It'll probably, be back at range high 3,800, 3,900. Andy will go right back up to 200, 250 million. It happens very quickly, right? And it's all really just dependent on Ethereum, which I think we can all agree at this point, except maybe one of us who's a professional ETH fudder. Not saying who that is, but ETH should be bullish here, right? And there's a really solid technical setup. And Lars, I don't know if you agree with this. This kind of looks like all of that buy side liquidity was a range. This is the manipulation, and we should get some expansion out of this. Do you see that as well? That's just kind of where, exactly.
I have to check. The way I confirm my range is when we touch the EQ. Yeah, there you go. Okay,
so that's our range. This is our manipulation, and then
yeah, that's actually a pretty interesting observation. Because then using my rules, we have to move down, we have to move up, touch that EQ. Your range is confirmed, and then this can be a manipulation event for sure. It meets the requirements, because for a proper manipulation event for me, you need to have like a Wyckoff, and those 3 dots, they represent a Wyckoff schematic, right? And then,
so I mean,
this is actually something I would use. Yeah, that's a good observation.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, it helped because you put on a little PO3 clinic earlier on in the show, so that's where my head was at. But I mean, I look at this, and I told the Andy Whale chat, they were asking me about this, and they were like, "Hey, I've got some of these guys. They got 50K they want to throw at it, and they're like, what do you think about this level?" And I said, "Look, this is deep value here. This is deep value, and this pair is so correlated to Ethereum and also Pepe." That all it needs to just bounce back like we're seeing today is a little bit of strength out of Ethereum. That's it. ETH isn't even going crazy. Like ETH is at sub 3,400 still. It's a nice day. It's up, 3.5%. It's not like ETH is up 12%. There's going to be days in the future when Ethereum is up 10, 12, 15%. That's when you see 100% days on something like Andy, so.
And especially, I'm a super bull on the ETH Bitcoin chart, right? I remember whenever we had that higher low here and we had that aggressive expansion towards the upside, I was like, if we ever come back to this range demand, that's going to be such an easy buy for the ETH BTC pair. So I think most people know, when ETH BTC moves up, it means Ethereum is outperforming Bitcoin. And then when Ethereum is performing well, your ETH beta plays will also run. And I was watching this range demand, and it took like 3 years, man. It took 3 years for it to happen, like 1,000 and like 90 days. And we had that distribution at the top here. You have the 1, you have the 2, you have the 3. But then the way we came down to tap this demand zone, right? This is your initial range high. This is your initial range low. You deviated once, you deviated twice. There's your accumulation schematic. But then the way we came down, it's so slow, and the market structure is pointing in one direction the entire way, right? You have lower highs and lower lows on the high time frame.
There's so many equal highs that are going to get taken on this chart, Lars. It's disgusting.
So, and people that are new to the space, they don't understand. I've waited. This is a 614-day downtrend. And it's broken right here on the 19th of May after 600 days of downtrending. And now for a full-on range reversal, I like to incorporate volume areas, right? So pulling that on my chart, that volume area low is hovering right above that new high that we have. So once we get that second break, let's say this is like an accumulation and we get that second break and we get that back test, I'm expecting some sort of like rejection for a higher low in here because it's the only supply there is. And then from there, you know, once you break that, it's showtime. Literally, it's showtime. But we tapped into such a high time frame demand zone, and you broke structure after 600 days of purely downtrending in one direction, where every high is a lower high, and it didn't take out the previous one. It's going to be such an easy sweep. And this is, what is this, like 67% towards your new range high, which I expect to happen. That's if Bitcoin is going to go to your 100 150k area, and this is going to run 67% harder, then you have a pretty high ETH.
And it's just one giant trade, right? The coolest part is like the chart that you showed earlier with Bitcoin dominance, Bitcoin and total 3. Exactly. You could throw ETH BTC on there additionally, and it would show, in perfect unison, it's one giant trade. The whole crypto ecosystem is moving in one direction. And it's altcoins going, it's everything going higher, but altcoins going higher than Bitcoin percentage wise, right? And these charts paint that picture beautifully.
Like beautifully. Like this went up like crazy last cycle, but the chart didn't really scream that we needed to have such an aggressive move in that moment. Looking back, we had a very aggressive move, but yeah, we had like a rounded up bottom here, so you could expect it, but to expect it to be this aggressive, I wouldn't say that in the moment. But now I'm telling you, this move right here, don't be surprised if you see it once you break that supply towards the range high. Like now you can know it's going to be aggressive because you're in the range and it just has liquidity on top. So it's going to be aggressive.
Yeah, it's going to be explosive, man. And look at what happened last cycle, right? So in like May for ETH BTC right there, that's the kind of move that happens. It's typically a little bit later in the cycle, but there's like a month or two. We'll call it like
it's
the
Q1, Max. It's Q1 in the post-halving year, straight up.
It's a liquidity vacuum where the entire market sits there and refuses to move and just watches ETH rip face. And I don't think that we're necessarily there yet, but that is something that I think will happen is you're going to visit that range high on ETH BTC. You'll visit that range high and sweep all of that liquidity within like 30 days. It's just going to go vertical.
Was Bitcoin like distributing? Is that what you were looking at, Lars? Was Bitcoin distributing kind of when ETH did that?
Yeah, I was checking like the timing of Bitcoin when ETH BTC went crazy. So you see like, end of April, beginning of May. And that's kind of when
hey, throw it on the bottom, bro. Put the chart on the bottom. Let's look at it. It'll line the time up. I mean, you can see that. I mean, that's why I say like typically later in the cycle is when you see that ETH liquidity vacuum, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's actually kind of a risk off signal. Well, in the beginning, it's risk on, right? But when it really goes crazy,
put it in candles. Oh, that's fine.
Lars, you chart just like me, man. I feel like I'm watching myself chart, watching you draw the candle colors and everything.
Yeah, it's whoa. That's actually that's pretty interesting. It's ETH BTC when nuclear the moment we had that third tap of the distribution.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and you'll see that ETH. So Bitcoin printed its first high time frame lower high right there, bounced into a complacency shoulder, and ETH USD printed a higher high. So there was a divergence between what Bitcoin's price action was doing and what ETH's price action was doing.
When you get the lower high on Bitcoin right there, it's over. It's
when
done.
You get the lower high on Bitcoin and you get the higher high on altcoins, get out of the market.
It'll probably be Sol this cycle. Honestly, we'll put in a higher high, and that's when you just yeet everything.
Yeah, because the total 3 market cap that represents the alts, it tends to top a few weeks after Bitcoin like confirms an actual bear market. The moment you broke that low here and you break that low there, that's a clear topping signal after forming a distribution for how long was this? Like 60 days. Yeah, like 50 days. So it's actually pretty easy for also the people that want to prepare themselves of how to get out of the markets. Whenever you see a high time frame top on Bitcoin, your alts aren't going to nuke immediately. They probably even go crazier, and that divergence in alts going crazy and Bitcoin showing that high time frame top signal, it's pretty good to take profits and scale out of the market.
That's when we travel to Europe, Max.
That's when we travel to Europe and hammer the ask. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. All right, what else, Lars? What else you got? You watching anything?
Well, I wanted.
Looks good. You can do whatever though. Whatever you want to show.
First on ETH, just check that deviation threshold, man. Like
I might start using that 1.25. I like that a lot, actually. I'm gonna back test it and see how it works.
Back test it for sure. I don't like with ETH. I was calling this the entire like bear market. I just don't like how it came up. You know, I love an accumulation, and it never had a proper accumulation because you didn't take the low, right? But once you start really breaking back inside the range we have now, you cannot ignore the bullishness, right?
But here's why I like ETH. Well, okay, well I agreed with you, but Bitcoin took its low. So when Bitcoin took its low from the FTX deviation, I figured, hey, ETH might just have sort of a different it might just have different components like DeFi and lockup and all this shit that's preventing it from breaking down, all the staking. Like Bitcoin took it. If Bitcoin's bottomed, I'm willing to bet that ETH is bottomed as well. But I do agree with you. ETH alone was not a good bottom, but Bitcoin kind of allowed it to do that, in my opinion.
Yeah, that could be a good indication. Maybe it happens again, right? Where Bitcoin is showing a good bottom, ETH kind of V-shaped recovery and then a slow grind up. But overall, the ETH chart, right? Like, come on now. We have a range. You had that manipulation below, not the cleanest manipulation, but you did get acceptance back inside. So your most important structure is a structure from the low up, right? You have higher lows and higher highs right here. This is actually also a good pullback. And then you form a range and you have range demand right below. Like, I'm not saying you have to tap into that range demand, but I'm not expecting price to visit any prices lower than that 2,160 area here, right? So I would love to take the low. It would be a very nice swing play because did it take the low? Oh, it actually took the low. Oh, well, it actually took the low. So that was your indication. That SFP was an easy liquidity grab of these lows here. And I'm not seeing resistance.
That fractal right there looks just like Bitcoin back between 25 and 30K earlier this year.
I got rid of
that huge range you have right there to the left, right there. That looks like ETH to me.
Yeah. Where you take the low and then you have that grind up and you pop off having liquidity above. And then same thing
it
here.
Really does.
That's looks the exact same.
Yeah.
It's the exact same.
Obviously, there's a few differences. Like ETH on the second pump didn't take out the high where Bitcoin did. You know, little things are different, but I think
it's even more bullish. It's even more bullish. If you don't take that high, it's just liquidity. There's no signs of a distribution. So you're leaving only sell side or buy side liquidity above, and you have taken all sell side liquidity below, right? So once you break that high, which is again the most important structure, which is the structure from the top down with the lower highs and the lower lows, right here. Once you break that high, it's an easy way towards the 4,100 area.
It's interesting that this technical setup is presenting itself right on the not quite the eve. Well, very soon to be eve of the spot ETF beginning to trade, right? Because it's like this is such a bullish looking setup here, and you're about to have such a fundamentally bullish catalyst to propel this technical setup in the right direction.
Like, I don't understand that people, like, let's say you want to buy ETH and you haven't. You had an Ethereum ETF pump right here, which is amazing news for the long term, an Ethereum ETF. And then you recover the whole pump. You recover the whole move, even sweep all sell side liquidity in the range. It's the most obvious buy signal here for a long term play, right? If you want to buy spot ETH. So you recovered the bullish news, and then it swept liquidity and it went higher, and it's going higher right now.
Where's your high time frame target for Ethereum this cycle?
So using my TA, sometimes I use like fib extensions for the ranges. Like in general, if I extend this the way we have been doing it, right? Once you break that 5.9K, which I expect to be broken, you can really see ETH going into deep price discovery around 7-8 before maybe potentially forming like a new range. And then from there, you distribute once you maybe hit 10K. Like it can be a massive range, right? This right here on our left. This was kind of the range, the formation I'm talking about once we go into price discovery, right? So it can be a massive range, but I cannot really give clear targets. I need to see how price develops. If I see the distribution, and whenever that distribution happens, and I see market maker involvement, and them shorting, I can say like this is going to be around the top. But if I just had to estimate, come on, like a 10K ETH, that's very reasonable in my opinion.
All right, I like it a lot. Why 10K though?
I'm just measuring like a 3x from here. Like if you have, let's say Bitcoin, Bitcoin is around 60K. I think Bitcoin can do a 2x, around that. For me, around that 100 to 150 area is kind of my estimation for Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin can do a 2x from here, right? And you have ETH BTC only moving 70% from here towards a new range high, a 3x is more than possible on Ethereum if Bitcoin is going to do a 2x.
I like it. I saw a Pepe alert go off on your chart. You can't avoid it now.
Dude, I was about to tell him to go look at Pepe, man.
Pepe is about to pop the hell off.
Pepe looks so good, boys. It looks so good.
Man,
it looks identical to the bottom it put in.
Let me get the chart for 2 minutes on Pepe.
Yeah, sure.
Hang on.
All right, look. Let's cook.
Will, you love that Adam Sandler character. So many of your tweets are just like him walking in that room. You love that.
Everybody in here is gambling, boys. I'm in here just making plays.
Yeah.
Look. All I'm saying, look, took the fractal from right here, overlaid it over here, currently below resistance, but the second we get above it, boom, 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 structure to the upside. People are missing the plot with this one, man. They are missing the plot. Like, here's the thing. I think this is too high cap, but I think this is very possible. And so
I think it's going a fuck ton higher.
Wait, what is that? What is that fractal?
I mean, this is just the move I'm seeing right now. This is literally the fractal from here.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure.
I took the whole fractal and just overlaid it where we are now, and I was like, okay, you got your 3 drive down. You've already drove to the low. You got your high, your mid, and your low right here. You've already set it. Your high, your mid, and your low right here. You already set it, and now you're going to reverse. I think, and that's like a 200% move even from where we are right now.
Lars, would you agree with that?
For sure, because I'm checking it now, right? And right here, just by the way Pepe came down, we have simple market structure, just literally one lower high, like one proper high time frame lower high, and then that lower high kind of had the range formation, right? Where you have that range. Right here, you have that range. Even you deviate the range high, which you didn't this time, but you had the range. You can kind of call the breakdown, but it's not really significant. Let's just call it manipulation, right? To make it look clean. Like if you align that, where is that here? So kind of this idea, right? If you align that with Pepe now on a higher time frame, you have the same one structure. High time frame, lower high. You got the same range. This was one massive range that deviated the low right here. And then this is your manipulation, right? And even the way you come up from the manipulation is the exact same. It's that scenario I was talking about earlier on Bitcoin, where you have one low and then you have like a slow grind up until you pop off, and you're seeing the exact same now. So it's very, very similar. I agree.
So this move would I would assume go to like 130 130 to 134, take out that high, something around there.
This is the most important high to break. Like once you break this, in general, there's no resistance. Using my TA, using like supply, we have one zone around here.
Yep.
This zone.
So you flip that region, you take out that high at 135.
Yeah.
We're off to the races.
Yeah, exactly. You'll probably stop temporarily in here, but
yeah, you'll probably catch some resistance at that point, but you'll probably hug it and then break it eventually. Just break out of it.
That's also the POC in there of that range, right? So you can expect if it's bullish, right? Maybe you come in here. And for a bullish case, I always like to deeply mitigate the supply zone, kind of see it fill already, and then you have like a pullback, and then you just blast off, right?
Yep. And that's your consolidation range.
Wouldn't it look pretty much like that, right? Like this is the fractal you were talking about, Will. Like,
yep.
You know what I mean? Like we come up deep into here. Oh no, this is like all right, we pump from here, Bitcoin fills the CME gap, see you later, right?
Yep.
Like that is really what, and it kind of Bitcoin looked like a little bit similar to, right? Like if we're gonna do, where is it?
It looks like Bitcoin's already hit its low right there. What you're showing. Yep.
Where did I pull that from? Whatever. Like something like that or whatever. Yep. Like where is the CME gap even? Is it like
that's the exact move I'm looking for, Tuckers. I'm looking for a move to 64, back into 61, and then go.
Yeah.
And that's it.
It'd be something like that. And this would be like, like the daily order block, get stuffed bulls, like it's completely over. And then you just rip.
They short side position.
I don't even know if we're gonna get that, Phil Tucker. Like we talked about it this morning in the Discord call. Yeah. There are so many instances last cycle. Like maybe even pull up the CME chart, man. Like let's look at it.
I know I was about to. Those gaps you were showing from last cycle.
Yeah, they remain unfilled for 2 years.
Yeah, I mean this. Like this one right here, like it feels like one of these kind of like,
go down to lower time frames so you can see them. Sometimes
there's another one. What am I on the weekly? Yeah, I need to come lower. Where are we?
I mean, some of these CME gaps, they remain unfilled for years. So I'm just saying, if you're not buying and you think we're going higher, but you're waiting for like a really particular fill because of the CME gap, these are some data points that should show you that, yeah, it could fill, but there's a lot of times when they don't fill until years later, right? So you might be waiting for that, that 58K retest for fucking 2 years, I'm just saying it could happen.
I don't think that once Bitcoin breaks above 70K, it goes back below 68, 70K. I don't think it does. So I think if you're going to get fills, they're going to happen beforehand in this range. But I think after that, you can fill much later.
This here.
What? Yeah, some of the
they got, but
I mean, look. Here's the thing: those things don't always get filled on Bitcoin. This is Bitcoin, not equities. But I do have. When you get a chance there, Tucker, I do have a soul chart. This is the last thing I wanted to kind of show.
There you go.
And I'm just telling you guys, like, look, we already got the breakout here. We already got the breakout starting to occur. And I think that's a W formation low right here because you got stuffed right up here, right? This is your failed shoulder that all the bears swore that's going to create the downturn, when in reality, it's just the mid position of the market. And once you get back above this, you're going to freaking chad on Solana. Like I think I'm so bullish on the Solana chart, it's not even funny.
Will, that's
failed shoulder
biggest bull, like double bottom bull flag maybe in the history of charts ever. That thing is huge. Like look at that.
The structure here, it looks primed. It looks so primed, and we've already gotten the breakout starting to occur here. You got your bear tops continuing to stuff, and now we're above it. Like anybody who thinks that this is not going to continue, I guess as a bear, if you're in the bear camp, the best case scenario is you might do that, right? But what is that downside? What is that downside? It's nothing. So, for me, I think this is a very obvious play. You continue to hit that high demand range, again, your previous resistance, and they just continue to bid it. And every time they push it up really high. So sellers are pretty much, all your sellers are getting exhausted here. That's what's happening here. Sellers are getting exhausted. You're not going to be able to sell below the range at a certain point, and then price is just going to naturally start drifting up and then eventually just break out once demand hits high.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that, Will. I like that. Study this line, though. Study this line.
Ooh, man.
Study. I mean,
is that thing glowing? What am I looking at? Why is it like glowing? Oh,
I drew a horizontal ray and then I put a box
it looks like it's like a lightsaber when you have it condensed like that.
It's pretty nice.
Lightsaber.
Yeah.
Study that.
I was like, if there's a way to make your trend lines glow, I need to know how to do that.
I know you do.
Next time, draw a handle on the end of it so it does look like a lightsaber.
Tucker, draw a diagonal across those highs, man. I need to see the bull flag. Just
where? Here?
Right? Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah, I mean
we don't need the bottom one. That's a little I don't like the bottom one. I like the top one though. I like the top one a lot.
You gotta have a bottom one for it to be.
You have a bottom one. It's the lightsaber.
I guess. So you're just saying it's a ascending triangle.
There's a bull flag, brother. Flat bottom bull flag.
Yeah, we'll take it. Look at study the pole.
And here's the thing about it, guys. Solana, there's a couple tickers that come to mind when I think of early stage of this bull cycle. INJ, Link, and Sol were kind of they were the three that really came to mind when I reflect back on how this bull market kicked off. Those were the ones that really went crazy right away. Solana has also acted as your risk on gauge for this cycle. When Solana has been strong and been pumping, it's been basically smooth sailing for the rest of the market. So I don't believe that regime has changed. I still believe that Solana is your de facto degen chain of this cycle. And if we see continued and pronounced Solana strength, it's going to just further propel your risk to higher levels. Like it's all cycle. When Sol has been strong, the market bids hard. I don't even think it's up for debate, right?
No,
it's this cycle's version of ETH BTC, right?
I need to see this flips, man. I need to see this. We need to get to like 175, bro.
Here's the thing: how can you be involved in this market and not be bullish on Solana? That's all I'm saying. Like, and just
well, I can think of a lot of reasons to not like Solana, but I don't think you can deny the technicals
from a price. From a price.
Fundamentally, we got some stuff to talk about. Okay, but look at the chart. Right? You can be mad about the chart, or you can be mad about the data, or you can submit to the data and say that's a double bottom. And whether I like it or not, Solana has been acting as a risk-on barometer all cycle.
You just got to get above a certain range, and this thing is going to move.
You got two W's there, bro. You got two W's.
I saw that one too, the smaller one. I just didn't put it
in. One, yeah. There's the big one. There's the small one.
I will say there is something. I'm bullish Solana as an L1. I'm much more bullish ETH memes going into the second half of this cycle than I am Sol memes. Much more bullish ETH memes. Tremendously. Sol memes can't seem to hold a pump like ETH memes do. And there's been so much value destruction on Solana where, I mean, how do I even put this lightly? There's been so much more junk on Solana, and it's basically just people pop up garbage and they basically swap it back into Sol, and like there's all this. I mean, literally, I'm just going to leave it there. There's so much value destruction, so much more value destruction on Solana than there is that of Ethereum. So I'm much more bullish ETH memes, but I think Solana as an L1 will do tremendously well.
I think Sol memes are kind of interesting, right? Because it's like there's probably once every like 3 or 4 months you get kind of that slam dunk bet on Sol. I mean, in Q4 we had whiff, or really probably more Q1 we had whiff. Right now you could probably argue Billy is kind of that coin right now, people's go-to for Sol memes. I think everything else, you can't really size Sol memes Sol shitters the same way that you do on ETH because it's so easy to transact for basically the cost of nothing. People just sell them immediately on any pump. There's so much variance with Sol shitters that if you put in a significant amount, you can get rugged very, very easily. But ETH memes do tend to be a lot stickier in that regard. I don't know when on-chain activity is necessarily going to return to ETH. I don't know if it will ever be more than what we're seeing on Sol right now. Although I like your theory, Max, that base season is probably something that we see at the tail end of this cycle. I don't know how much ETH mainnet outside of, you probably have a few outliers every quarter. But I don't know if ETH mainnet is going to return to the same level of on-chain activity that it had in 2021. There might be, Solana's popularity and rise might really inhibit that from actually happening. But that doesn't mean there's not going to be opportunity on ETH, right? Like, obviously last quarter we had the boys club memes. Trump basically since the 2022 lows, I think, is up probably 15 or 20x. So there's been plenty of things on ETH mainnet. It's just, I think the Sol on-chain environment is just completely different. You kind of have to view it with a totally different lens.
I would agree with all that. Tucker, and I guess Lars, PO3, man, look at the deviation we're in right now.
You talking about Brett?
I'm talking about what you're drawing right now. But
oh, okay, yeah, this boom, boom, boom. I see it.
We're in the manipulation phase right now, man.
Look at Average Dad's question in the comments.
Yeah, see this right here.
Okay, wait. Question for Lars. When you draw your PO3s, like usually when I'm doing it, I do it like, I don't even know where to put this target of like where does the expansion go. What do you do?
So in general for PO3, the technical target for me is the range high of the PO3, and then from there it can do whatever it wants. Same way for Bitcoin, right? When we have this massive PO3 where the whole price discovery range of last cycle, it was just the range, and then the bear market was the manipulation phase, and we had the expansion away. The target is the range high, but that's the technical target. And with technical, I mean, that's going to be maybe like a stopping point. You can cool off, but if the overall order flow is looking good, you can expect way higher. But for my maximum target, if I'm actually swing trading it, right, and then we're not talking about like crypto cycles and I'm holding it until I sell again, I use also that deviation threshold tool. So I adjusted until of the low of the manipulation event, and then where that deviation threshold high is, that's where I'll max have my target, like maximum.
Gotcha.
Tucker, you know what I like to do? 1.618 of the range before the manipulation. I kind of like that.
I see what you're saying.
So like, yeah, draw your range, high, range, low,
before
and then
this, okay,
like there, and then throw on your 1.618, and that's your expansion target.
I like that. Yeah, because I don't even know what to target on the expansion. I'm just like, all right, it's probably going up from here. So
golden.
What if you compare that 1.618 with the deviation threshold? If you pull your range high from the highest point to the lowest point, and then put the 1.25.
I agree.
I think it's around. It could be around the same.
You're saying put on a 1.25?
No. So draw a whole other range, Tucker.
Yeah, draw a whole other range.
Draw
from the highest point to the lowest point.
Hold up. From including this or no?
Yeah.
All the way down.
Yeah.
You just want like
80 to 86. Yeah. Okay, I like that.
I have it like.
Yeah. Now put a 1.25 on there. Okay. And now draw a whole new range again. Leave that, but draw a new range.
From where?
From range high.
Yeah.
To range low.
Before?
Yeah, that's fine. No. Like range low, not the deviation low.
Oh, not the deviation. So
range low would be like right there. That's fine. Yeah. And now open it up so we can put custom fibs on there and just do 1.618 now.
I don't know why you guys are being so bearish today.
And get rid of the 1.25 on that one.
On the second one.
Yeah.
So what will be amazing, seeing that 1.618 being above the 1.25. Let's say you go to the 1.618, you close high time frame candles above that 1.25, confirming your range breakout. Have a tiny stopping point at that 1.618 before moving higher. It will be ideal.
I think we're hitting 100K before we hit
and then from there we can hit 100K.
Dude, no. I think we're legitimately hitting on. Look, do a high to low,
there.
Right, of the overall market. You'll see that your top end range is 177. Then do a fib in the middle between your 1 and your 1.618.
If you want to just do this, dude, I've done this, right? That's 100K.
Bro. I'm sorry, you need to go look at Pepe right now. Go look at Pepe.
Oh man, hang on. Values 1618, 100K.
I'm just saying. I talked about this last week, Max. Last week, I even talked about on Friday's show that fractal,
Pepe,
and it's playing.
Never gonna lose a zero again.
I built some more confluence for that fractal on my screen. I was just looking at
boys.
I was just looking at this retrace, right? We have the lower high, we have the lower low, but also with that POC, you also here had a massive range supply with the POC in it. But what happened, like I said earlier, you want to kind of have a deep push into that supply zone, kind of already signaling that it's failing before having that retrace, right? And that's exactly what happened here. You had the exact same supply zone with the POC in it, like the most volume from the top down. But what did you do? You just neglected it, kind of SFP'd it before going higher, right? So that fractal right here, it's exactly what I want to see. It doesn't have to be an SFP, but just a push deeper into that supply zone, some sort of cool off, and then, yeah, you're good to go.
Can I borrow the screen for like 2 seconds?
For sure.
So this is a high to low, Tucker. High to low.
Yeah, that's what we just did. It's at 100K. Exact. What? Whoa, are you on log? What are you on?
I'm on log, yeah.
No, that's what it is. All right, that's what
Tucker, study log mode.
They both work. But you got to look at both. Okay,
you're 70K short.
No. I've been waiting
have to look
3
at
weeks, Max. 3 weeks. You need to pull up USTD.D non-log and study.
We're gonna obliterate your fake little linear trend line. Watch, okay? Watch. Study log mode.
Okay.
You wouldn't understand, bro. You wouldn't get it.
The true mode, which is log.
Right?
The true mode, which is log, puts the 1618 at 107
log. I can't let that comment.
But I'll let you. Good man, Tommy. Tommy's
moving forward from reality versus fantasy. Moving forward.
Log is hopium filter.
Look, non-log users.
You log haters are clowns, okay?
Look,
log mode is Chad.
Non-log users, Max, pick up the Snickers. Okay?
Yeah.
Every time.
Oh my God.
Look, I'm gonna show you guys something, okay? I'm gonna show you guys something. I'm gonna feed you some alpha because alpha is needed here. All right. Non-log users work at McDonald's and log users hit their targets. Okay. That's the difference. Log users hit their targets, non-log users work at McDonald's. And as you can see right here, did the log user hit the target? Is the log user in the room with us right now? Yes, he is. And yes, the log user hit his target. So we're gonna go off log users, right? Again, the true macro alpha, aka log, and we're gonna go high to low, right? High to low structure. That brings you to 176K Bitcoin. And if you are looking for rejection, you should look for the 50 of the overall move. And where's your 50? Your 50 is at 111K. That's where I would expect big rejection, is at your 50. And so if I'm expecting it at the 50, it's 111K is where your first out. Will you get some chop on the way up? Sure. People are looking at this and not realizing that 80K is only 10K over our previous stop. Not even that. What did we hit? 73. 80K is 7K higher than the previous stop. We're going higher than that. Like, look at this market. Look look here, study parabola. All right, as Bobby likes to say, study parabola, straight up forever. All right, I'm expecting big moves, correction, right? Correction, somewhere's in here, chop, 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 and then big move, and then absolute devastation, and then next market. That's just my thoughts, though. Just throwing it out there.
Hold on. You guys can talk, but study.
Fucker, bro.
Study
Oh my gosh, I'm about to fuck you, dude. Don't even make me do this right now. I'm
Max,
about to do
it was. I told you back at the time. It was the Schmeeko top.
He's like this one instant. Study it. This one instant.
The Hagrid trend line.
Literally all you need to see here, bro. What are you even waffling about?
What is
Look
that?
at this
What
chart.
am I looking at?
Look at this chart.
Log mode.
You got a temporary relief bounce from that level. It's gonna end up getting fried later this cycle. We're gonna go to 2.5%.
That's fine. No, that's totally valid. But that line, trading view line, make bounce. Okay, it worked.
It temporarily worked. It's gonna be invalidated this cycle. Look at the log chart is so much cleaner, bro. And look at this as well. Look at this as well. This channel. Look at this channel, bro. Like you got range low, you've got interaction with mid range. Like this is a real channel. Your linear line, literally all it has is just the bottom line. That's it.
That's all you need. That's all you need. It saved you 30% on Bitcoin, which was probably more like 75% on altcoins. Now, I didn't sell anything because we're in a bull market. I don't care. But if you wanted to tactically trade that, you could have. That would have saved you 30%.
This is the USDTD setup right here.
I agree. This is now valid too. This is now valid.
I have a question, Tucker.
And
you can just let me know if you know this or not. Do you know the saying a broken clock is right twice a day?
Will, this has been right every single topic.
Get him, Will. Get him, Will.
A non-log chart is right twice a day.
Get him, Will.
Study it, Will. Top. What else can I?
What happened to the 2017 top to bottom where we hit the 1618 on the dot?
I'm not saying the top is in for the cycle. I'm saying this called a 30% pullback on Bitcoin, which was like 70% on your altcoins. Okay, it's not even a Tucker-Nachi line.
I can't even look at that. I'm taking the chart back. This is
back to log, back to fantasy land.
Look how much cleaner this one is, bro. Oh
no,
my!
It's clean. I'm not saying it's not. They're both valid. Okay, that's what I'm saying. They're both valid.
We do have a super chat though.
Look at both.
And we're already like 2 hours in. So if we want to,
can you check Sol 2020 TSA? If you want to do it, Will, go ahead. I can't chart TIA and say right now. I don't have it in me.
This chart is cooked. What's the super check? Can I check the 2020 correction with the current correction on TIA and say I can do that? That's fine. I've done that before.
Awesome.
All right. So what we're gonna do is we are gonna chart. Here we go. So Sol USD. Sol TIA USD. I would assume you're looking at this.
Oh, that's actually not bad.
What was the other one? Sol, Tia, and Say?
Yeah, Say. I see. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a case to be made potentially. I don't know. I don't know if I'm like overly bullish. Is there a better Tia chart? Is there like a crypto?
No, that was literally. Wait, which one do you have up? Coinbase? Oh no, yeah, you gotta get Mexi or Binance or something.
Is Mexi better?
I mean, but it was only at $2 for like a week, so it was not long.
So he's saying 2020, not 2021.
2020.
Yeah, so you might have to zoom in a little bit
Even
there.
further.
Talking over here. Oh my.
Yeah, that makes.
Oh gosh.
I see say for sure.
I see say for sure. Let's just get rid of Tia, bro. Who cares about Tia?
Bruh, yeah. If Say did that, my God.
Dude, if that happens.
I mean, the dip buy on these modular utility whatever coins is probably going to be real. Like,
okay, here's my issue though. Here's my issue. Let me explain something. So we're gonna go over to CoinGecko and we're gonna type in Say right now. Okay, the market cap of Say right now is 1.13 billion. Okay, so fully diluted valuation 3.5 billion. Okay, but we'll just say true market cap right now 1.1 billion. Now let's put up Sol market cap.
Oh, we're pumping, boys. We're pumping.
Crypto cap Sol.
Yep.
At that phase of last cycle, my friend, let's see where we were at. I mean, we were at like 100 million, right? We were at, so the valuation right now, right here for Say is 10x higher than Solana's was when you're comparing it at this phase. So I would not expect this fractal to play out, you know, 1-for-1 because of how much higher the Say valuation is than Sol at that point.
I mean, would you just say temper your expectation by 10?
Yeah, I would. I mean, I would probably compare it more to here, honestly, and just be like, yeah. I mean, I would just say it could go to like, you know, it would just do something like this, you know. But also, I'd rather just own meme coins personally. Like, I'm good, you know. I'm good with like all my meme coins. So
Powell is pumping our bags right now.
Are we pumping?
That's what we got to hear, man.
Haggard, are we pumping?
A little bit. Look at Pepe.
Damn, bro. Look at that.
Bro, Pepe already broke through the resistance. It's already above it. Just got to hold it down.
Lars, what do you got up, bro? You working on something?
Pepe looks good.
I was I made a post this morning about Wolf, also that, you know, that Matt Fury character, and it's going nuts, absolutely going nuts. Like exactly what you want to see on the range breakout is happening right now. Such massive volume increase, almost no resistance above. It's insane. It's up.
That puppy, huh?
Nice.
Tucker, let me see the screen.
It's up at 2x.
Wait a second. You're good.
I didn't take it, by the way. Check that out. Check that out.
I know.
Right above resistance, boys. Right above resistance. Look at that.
Yo, look at the comment section. You're gonna scream. I sold everything at 54K, waiting for 52.
No. Oh man.
Well, the comments are real. We're about to hit 64K on Bitcoin, I think.
Yeah, we are.
We're really about to tap that shit. And man, the reversal on this is going to be insane because nobody thought this was going to happen. I can tell you that. Past week, absolutely nobody thought this was going to happen.
I was just looking at Brett, and someone also, I see a chat, like, take a look at Brett. Much appreciated. I was just looking at it because this thing is looking bullish.
Where's Tom at?
Yeah, see that's what I was saying to Tucker, Lars, is I see that as the manipulation phase. Brett, honestly, man, Brett might end up competing with Pepe. Like, it's just such a titan on base. Like, I don't even see any competition near it.
The thing is, you have normal PO3s, you have PO3s, and then you have like a PO3. And what I mean with like a PO3 is that if you look at this range, what did this range do? Well, this was your initial range low, and this was your initial range high when you started, right? You deviated once, and this is a higher low, indicating an accumulation. Okay, so you have the accumulation schematic, and the technical target is the range high. So you deviate that range high, and it goes over into a distribution. So you have an accumulation, it goes over into a distribution, and you break down, but you don't actually break down. No, it's just a manipulation event that has a 1, that has a 2, that has a 3. Like, if you want to talk about market maker involvement on a chart, like it's everywhere. It's all over the place. And then in general, when your chart is looking like this, and the retrace was literally just basically this retrace was a PO3. Like literally, this retrace was just a PO3. It's not even an aggressive retrace. It's just a PO3 as your retrace. And I always say, the price behavior of a coin during a correction will tell you so much more than when it's pumping. So it's insane.
Yeah. Do you have any higher time frame fibs or targets you're prospecting for Brett?
Well, I put it on log mode.
Yes, sir. A logarithmic warrior, Lars.
There we go.
One of us.
Look at Tucker. Hey, can you log that high to low, the current structure?
Valid.
And then run your 1618 on that? I just want to see where that lands.
Yeah, I like that.
Bam. How much percentage game we talking? 130%.
Plus X.
Yeah, but then throw on the 2.618 and the 3.618 and let's have some fun.
I like the 2618 for this one, even on log, because the recent top for Brett was the 2618 non-log, like to the penny.
Yeah,
so
it was. Yeah.
Tucker's becoming a logor.
I mean, I use them both. I like log for the extensions more, I think. If I'm looking for like a golden pocket to bid, I'm using non-log for sure. But
yeah. The one thing I like on Bitcoin is that cycle top log, because you come back into really good support ranges every cycle from the bear market. A lot of people miss that.
Yeah. What's that 2618 at? 6 bill? Something like that.
Yeah, it's like a 4x from here. Yeah.
Yeah, 6 bill.
6 bill.
Very nice.
Not bad.
And also on Solana, what surprised me the most is that we were in this big range, right? This massive range. And then the behavior of Solana when Bitcoin was dumping. We were in this range and we hit extreme demand. What do I mean with extreme demand? It's the last demand remaining in the range before taking the range low, okay? And prices and ranges, they can have a lot of internal rotations. They don't always have to take the extreme points, right? You can have internal rotations before you take an extreme point like this. And we were hitting extreme demand and we formed a new range here. And right here, this is the 5th of July, 2 a.m., right? What was Bitcoin doing? 5th of July, Bitcoin was deviating or breaking down from its initial range low. So you have Bitcoin absolutely dumping, everyone being extremely scared, okay? And then what is Solana doing? It's literally deviating its local range low, not even taking the bigger range low, and it's accumulating. Afterwards, it broke structure to the upside and higher low for a Model 2 accumulation. And now you're tapping that range high. So when Bitcoin was dumping and everyone was scared, this was just in discount pricing in this bigger range, and it was accumulating. It's showing so much strength when on Solana when Bitcoin was in panic mode. So
that it's funny.
And it never lost the range low. That was something that I noticed as well. Is like Bitcoin was lying to you the whole time. Like Bitcoin was the only. ETH didn't break its range low. Total barely deviated its range low. Sol didn't break its range low. It's like, for me, that was a pretty obvious sign that somebody was lying. Either Bitcoin was going to hit a reclaim like it clearly has done, or alts were going to catch up to Bitcoin and start nuking. Obviously, Bitcoin lied to you. So
that was my exact argument last week, Max, when everybody was discussing lower pricing. I was like, then why hasn't Solana broken structure? Ethereum hasn't broken structure. I'm like, nothing's broken structure. Everything is just double bottomed off the low, and Bitcoin formed a lower low. I'm like, this seems like, it smells like fucking manipulation, and that's what I think this was.
Yeah,
altcoins were telling the opposite story of what Bitcoin was telling. And I mean, granted, now shitcoins, they got obliterated. They did. A lot of them got wrecked. But when you were looking at your L1s, your majors, they were all saying, no, this is all fake. This is all bullshit. And, you're seeing the market today just rebound heavily. And I think that also with the event that tried to occur but didn't occur over the weekend at the rally and shit like that, because that didn't succeed, I think that also helps markets, right? because that uncertainty